We've made it this far. Jimmy Pilato, can you believe it? We went from the preseason to here. We got a lot to get into today on the show. We'll talk Eagles surviving the Bills here. We'll get into that a little bit too. We'll get into the Bengals coming up a little short against Revs Steelers. So he has a little trash talking advantage. And of course, we got Tyler McGurk with us on the show for the first time this year. We'll dive a little bit into that Niners Seahawks cooking that he got this week too. So a lot to get into. Variety Sports Network. Be sure to check out In the Clutch Studio. Row One Bram with us. Gentlemen, we're off to a little 15-minute early start because I think we might go a little bit longer here today. So we got a good show on tap. Jimmy Pilato, how we doing, sir? Did you check out the end of that Bills-Eagles game, I'm assuming?
Yeah, we were watching that one, watched the Bronco game. I'm glad CM Punk is back in WWE, so I have something to watch moving forward. It was also very good that I was trying to make my lesson plans earlier this morning, and I was writing some Stoic meditations because it's a lot of don't react in the moment. You don't need to chuck your TV. Like, don't throw your remote through your TV. You don't need to do that because if you did, that'd be harder than anything Jake Browning threw all day. So you don't need to do that. Let's just calm down. Let's watch some fake fighting. That's all I'm going to do.
Jordan Maxon, we're going to get into your Bengals coming up a little short here. Steelers edition. Did you check into that Bills game out as well?
Yes, sir. The Eagles survived. Josh Allen did everything he was supposed to do. Still made the turnover that he's known for, but that's I don't know. A lot of questions for the Bills. We'll definitely dive into it.
And let's dive into it. Tyler McGurk with us here. First time on Talkin the Gridiron here in a while. Welcome to the show here, sir. We got week 12 here. Let's start with your Bills. Like I said, your old email, Bills for Bowl, back in the day. You used to have a little love affair. It's one of our favorite sayings with you back in the day. First email addresses. Those are your favorite things. So, Bills, you've been loving Allen a little bit with the Twitterverse. You've been defending him. Listen, let's not get sensitive, but you have been a little bit with it. He comes out. He plays well. I got the stats there. Runs for it, passes. Again, the Bills, though, defensively, whatever you want to say it, they can't get the job done in the clutch, my friend. They cannot get the job done.
I mean, I want to give the credit to the Eagles in that second half. The offense showed up. The first half, they're absolutely pathetic. They were allowing all the pressure in the world. Hurts was terrible. But they showed up in the second half. Josh Allen did have the timely turnover. He missed the guy on third down to win the game in overtime. There's something about this Bills team that they seem to blow games.
That was a route, though. That was Gabe Davis. They said that his choice was he should have gone the other way. And the way he reacted on the sidelines, I thought Gabe Davis was kind of taking responsibility for that in overtime. But it is kind of crazy how if they give the other team even an inch, they never overcome it. Like 13 seconds all the way up to this. I didn't realize Josh Allen's 0-6 in overtime games.
Really? I
didn't realize that either.
That's all Jim Nantz and Tony Romo said for the entirety of overtime is that he's oh wait, run this side, pass over here. Also, Josh Allen is 0-5 in overtime games.
Damn, I didn't realize that. I had no idea. The one that I found interesting with that is they get off to the start again, but again he has that big pick. Like it's just that one interception, right? That kind of makes the big difference. Hurts doesn't really have that big interception. He does have it. Leads to that. It kind of felt like that gave him momentum a little bit more on offense than they should have. I'm not saying he played well, but bad, but it's because he made some electric plays on that last drive. The little fake goes out left a little farther, but like I don't know, Jimmy. I don't know. He just seems to come up a little short there with it once in a while.
He's continuing to make the same dumb mistakes that he was chastised for in college. He just continues to make those mistakes. And when he does, it turns him into Superman. He has to be Superman for them to win the games. And him being Superman has not been proven successful for the Buffalo Bills. And I think it's going to cost Sean McDermott his job. I don't think that he's going to survive this. Yeah, he's already taken over play calling duties for the defensive side of the ball. He's already taken the steps that, like, if a guy's on the hot seat and a guy's had success, there is a point where too much success can be a bad thing. If you're constantly getting to a certain point, the ownership, the GM is going to look at you and go, well, we can do this with somebody else. And I feel like that's where Buffalo's going.
I mean, that's a fair point with that, like, because of that, they're not very imaginative, I feel like, on offense, Jordan.
No.
I feel like they can be a little bit more like, compared to like even your Bengals, like your like Shanahan's in the world. Like I feel like it's just like, all right, Allen, hike, all right, a little bit roll out right.
Well, I mean, it kind of goes back to what I said last week. Allen has to be the run game, and again tonight, I mean, I think he finished with 78 yards on the ground, led the team in total rush yards. I mean, you're passing the ball for 300, you're rushing the ball for 70 plus, and like you said, being Superman, when he puts up these stats, they come out on the losing end. So it's incredible. It's honestly incredible to watch. I mean, what else does he have to do? I mean, the defense isn't stepping up. Von Miller's not getting healthy. It's not showing up on the stat sheet when it comes to sacks and tackles for losses. They let a couple of free agents go on the defensive line, and I think it's just too much to overcome.
You kind of forget about that Von Miller thing. I forget about that, Tyler.
I think there's something missing in there, and it's the play action game. All great offenses have good play action game. There is no play action game with this Buffalo Bills.
You got to have
if they're under center, they hand it off.
Joe Brady never does under center.
They did a little more this game, like like to start the halves and start the overtime, which was shocking to me. I was like, oh, they actually
and it worked
well. Yeah, and it worked. So they have to develop some sort of play action. I don't know if you can sell a play
James
action
Cook
at this point.
ran the ball 16 times, Tyler, for 43 yards. To your point,
yeah,
that's gonna make Joe Brady puke later tonight at his house. He hates that. He hates he called 16 run plays.
And what was Gabe Davis had 6 for 105. Diggs, he had that big drop on that final drive. You know what I mean? Well, maybe it wasn't a drop. Nice defensive play on the punch out there. I'll give the guy credit on that play. What do you think? Like, are the Eagles now from the 10-1? They lose this. They play the Niners next week. That game kind of feels a little juicier, but whatever. Still a big game. But the Eagles, they just seem to now be. Are they now, even though they haven't won a Super Bowl, they just kind of mentally strong? Like it feels like those Chiefs teams are. Or they still gotta kind of prove some things a little bit more to you, Jimmy?
Right now, I mean, they can look more impressive, but I really think what Sirianni's done is I need to give him his credit, because when he got hired and the Zoom meetings with the rock, paper, scissors and everything like that, I thought he was going to be a total joke. I'm pretty sure I said him and Nick Sirianni and Dan Campbell were going to be the first 2 fired out of that generation. And I think they're doing the best with establishing the culture of their teams right now. And the fact that they're not dominating and still winning games, and they got a little help from the referees, but there was help for Buffalo earlier on in the game. Like a couple of the times in overtime, there was probably pass interference, but then there was that bogus roughing the passer call too. So there's a lot that goes back and forth with it. I just think that they have a culture, and I think that they're one of the few teams that are like shark teeth, where you can pretty much plug and play whoever needs to, and they're all going to play the same exact way. And they took on the embodiment of that head coach. It makes me laugh when the head coach is walking out underneath the opposing team's tunnel, like, I don't hear shit now, Kansas City fans. I don't hear anything now, Chiefs. So he's done a great job.
I think weakness. I'm trying to figure it out. Like
their weakness is their lack of creativity.
All right, so that's they get like that was one complaint. Go ahead, T.
Do you ever feel like this coaching staff's carried by all the talent that's on this roster? Like, I don't really believe, like Campbell, I think does set a tone for like his team where he is like a legit psychopath, I believe, like in a football term, in a real way. Sirianni just seems like the annoying little brother who's just trying to like pick at your heels, where this team's so loaded. I don't think he's a good strategist, like you mentioned. They're not creative really on offense outside of Jalen Hurts getting creative. I just think I really think that the coordinators and the amount of talent on this roster really carry Sirianni in a big way. I don't know if I mean, I could be proven wrong, and I'm not going to stick to that as like an absolute fact, but that's just like what my gut tells me watching this team week in and week out.
I didn't think he'd be able to motivate the team when he got hired. So the fact it is definitely not on the field stuff, but just getting people ready to play. And he's leaning on his leadership, and his leadership almost cost him the game. That was crazy. I've never seen Jason Kelsey blatantly blow a football game like that.
Yeah, he
the
almost
entirety of his career. He nearly blew that game on that last drive in regulation that they had. But then I thought he was hurt. I think he probably just had to go take a dump.
Hey, so to put a bow on this game here, just to finish out on the Bills here, they play at Chiefs, Cowboys, at Chargers, Patriots, at Dolphins to finish out the season. So they're 6-6 right now. kind of in the mix there for that playoff team. I mean, they're easily more talented than the Colts, right? Like they're more talented than the Texans. It just, for the sake of the playoffs, they need to be in there, right? Like we need them in there over the Colts. Or am I wrong about this? I don't want the Colts in there
over the Colts or over the Texans, because I
mean,
say
the Texans are one thing, but the Colts are the 7th seed right now, so I want them over the Colts at least. Let's say that.
I want to see the Texans. Were you guys able to catch any of that game?
The Colts one?
No, the Texans.
The Texans game was good. Yeah, I got that one on there.
I saw the one celebration where CJ Stroud knocked out his offensive lineman. That was it.
That's why I'm a good host here.
Baby boy.
Another game of the day here, Jordan, for you. That's why I got you tuned up here. We're starting to work closer together. I'm starting to feel you. Yes, yeah, no, that was a good game as well. Go ahead.
No, that place, I think the NFL needs them in the playoffs. I mean, they played at home, and that place was as loud as I've ever heard. And even the commentary, they said the Cardinals actually gave them advice to the other team this week, and was like, when you go to practice, you're going to want to practice with some noise. And they actually simulated that throughout the week because of the crowd noise that Texas is generating. So I think they're starting to get a little bandwagon going on there. And I mean, it's hard. They came up short end of the stick, but CJ Stroud almost had another one. I mean, a 4th game winning drive of the year, and he was in a driver's seat. It kind of drives me crazy that he doesn't do enough plays with his legs, because he could have made that field goal was about 1.5 feet from being good. If he scrambles on that last 3rd down play instead of throws it, they kind of win that game. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think the situation they're in.
Tough weekend for Ohio State, I guess. Tough weekend. Very good. Sorry.
What else happened?
It's our 4th show.
I don't know if you're tracking my tweets, but it's been a tough week.
Hey, at least
did something else occur? Was there a big game this weekend or something?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, right. Crying Ryan. Yes.
Only the number 2 and 3 teams of the nation. No big deal.
Oh, I watched it. No, I watched it. Crying Ryan got what he deserved.
Crying Ryan. Like, hey, back to the Jags here real quick though. Jimmy, they host your Bengals on Monday night here next week.
We shouldn't be able to call this team the Bengals. It's not the Bengals unless it's Joe Burrow at quarterback.
The Bengals. We'll go back to the Bengals. Then we'll go, the Bengals versus Jaguars.
It makes me sick, but it's true.
We kind of said how the Jaguars, they took a big dump against basically the Niners there that last week, and then they show up, and a lot of people were like, "Well, it's kind of good for them. They got to see what it was like to get their ass kicked versus like a legit team a little bit." I mean, it was good to see them finish, I guess, a late game, but they were up 10. It's not like, to me, it's an epic win and I don't know. I still feel really iffy about this team. Even after watching this game, I'm like, Lawrence played better, but like, I don't know. I don't feel like they're ready to push the Chiefs yet or the Bills. Like, I feel like the Bills would beat them after watching a game like this. You know what I mean?
If we're going to put it into March Madness terms, they're like a 3 or a 4 seed where you're not expecting them to win the championship, but I could see them just based on virtue of getting into the tournament. They could do they did some crazy shit last year. Like the comeback against Los Angeles. And if they host a playoff game with Trevor Lawrence, if they host a couple playoff rounds, because they're right up there at the top of the AFC with the way the Chiefs have been struggling too. I see them having this be the tail of their season. I don't think that they're going to be good enough or they're going to figure it out enough to dominate people, but they might be able to win a few more games. There's stages of how you become a good team. You learn how not to lose. You learn how not to beat yourself. You learn how to win close games, and then you just learn how to win consistently in general. And I feel like they're on like step 2.5 out of 4. So this isn't the year, but their schedule is they have Michigan schedule this year. They're playing Michigan's schedule this year.
I'm gonna get to how they won up here on the screen here a little bit, so we can get a feel that it was a very close ending here to the right. You could ask for any closer right off.
Am I just a week behind? Is that Danny Amendola?
Yeah, was that
Amendola, or is Amendola kicking for somebody else? Or is that guy's last name?
I don't think it could be Danny.
It's not Danny, but
I know that's not Danny. But how the hell is there's 2 Amendolas?
They found him last week off the practice squad. They just elevated him up this week. So
I swear I thought that Danny Amendola just decided to go from receiver to kicker when I saw the last name.
That'd be great. I had to get that on there for you guys on that one. I had to get that up up on the screen before it was too late. Go ahead, T.
When I look at this game, I think it comes down to the two quarterbacks, and I don't really think that both of them aren't in a position to win anything seriously now. Jaguars may be a little ahead, but which one would you rather have going forward in Trevor Lawrence or C.J. Stroud? I think like the popular opinion right now is C.J. Stroud because he is the fresh face who is doing very well. But would anyone rather have Trevor Lawrence in this room?
I'm going to say I think that both of them work really well with the coach that they have currently, because we saw what Trevor Lawrence was without Doug Peterson, and he had that half a season with Urban Meyer. So I think the fact that he has Doug Peterson and CJ Stroud has DeMeco Ryans, and they're both at this critical point of building around themselves, I feel like you could be very successful with both. I think if I'm looking at it, people forget that Trevor Lawrence was talked about for a long time as the best quarterback, the next quarterback since Andrew Luck. He was the Peyton Manning. He was the Andrew Luck. I feel like that talent's still there, and I think if they continue to put pieces around him, I'm not going to get off of Trevor Lawrence, but I am going to sit here and say that I did not expect this out of C.J. Stroud and DeMeco Ryans this season. I thought that was going to be a struggle. I thought they were going to probably be a top 5 pick in the draft.
I really liked it, and DeMeco's what a job he's done. You know what I mean? Like then getting Will Anderson with the 3rd pick, like the way they've shown it. How about
one? People looked at them like, "What are you doing? Why?" And their first round draft picks this year are both captains. C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson are both captains and leading both sides of the football team.
How about your Broncos? I mean, my goodness, 6-5 now. A little Broncos revival here with Sean Payton. Like, I mean, what are we? I mean, you play the Browns defense. They play well in the game. I mean, I get a little background magic here. We'll get a little background here talking about. What do we got? I don't know what to make of it. Like, I guess my question, as I have it up on the screen there, is like, is this something that's sustainable for Wilson and like Sean Payton long term now? Is this their future now?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Did you listen to our show? I gave the exact reason, and Nico even said you're 100% right. And he normally doesn't allow me to speak on the Broncos. It's normally like the part of our relationship where he cuts it off. He's like, hey, whatever Jimmy said, I'm just going to say. He goes, no, you're right. They are content to be the most boring football team of all time. That Sunday night game against Minnesota, every other coach outside of maybe a handful of the NFL coaches would have tried for a touchdown on one of those drives instead of kicking the 4 field goals. Even though kicking those 4 field goals kept you close enough that Russ had to make one play, Cortland Sutton had to make one catch, and you won that game. And then today, it was the same thing. You just are the most conservative team. Now, you have to be able to run the ball, and I think their offensive line deserves credit because their running game has increased exponentially. Their pass game still suffers at times. Their pass pro is tough. I don't think that their tackles are that great. And Russ has Russ moments, but it's like it's baby-proof in your house. Sean Payton baby-proofed this offensive playbook. He's like, okay, Russ, don't trip down the stairs. Don't hit your face on any corners. Don't fumble. For the love of God, don't fumble. Don't fumble, Russ. Don't fumble, Russ. And you'll throw 2 touchdowns and win us the game.
I like him and Sutton, Jimmy. They've been figuring something.
So
Sutton should have been this. He had his ACL injury, and then last year, just everything was awful. This is what we expected out of Sutton when they drafted him.
I don't know. Go ahead, Jordan.
Oh no, I mean my thought on this team really kind of takes me back to the year that Tim Tebow took them to the playoffs. When John Elway kind of revamped the offense, we're going to add tackles, we're going to add running backs, we're going to be run, pass when we need to. Now Russell Wilson obviously is a much better quarterback than Tim Tebow. I'm not comparing the arm talent.
Those are some fun times. Tebow mania was wild.
Hey, that playoff win against the Steelers will live rent free in my head forever. But definitely kind of look at the design of the team. He's adjusting, like you touched on. He's adjusting the run game. They're making a lot better play calls. They're not asking him to necessarily push the ball down and do something razzle dazzle like you did in Seattle. He's just kind of above a game manager, and they've kind of conformed the offense around it. And they're going on a win streak because of it. Defense is keeping them right in where they need to be. offense is scoring on possessions, whether it's 3 points or 6. So it's kind of interesting to see, and it kind of reminds me of when Elway put that team together and was like, here's the game plan. We're gonna do, go meat and potatoes. This is
we're gonna be within 5 in the fourth quarter, and Tim's gonna have a prayer, and we're gonna win on a 50-yard field goal.
We got Jesus on our side.
Those SNL sketches, that SNL sketch was an all-timer.
That was a good one.
All-timer.
They did a good Draymond one a couple weeks ago with them on there as well. I didn't mind that one. They did not bad with it. I've got our guy Vandy Chris. It's been a while, my friend, out there in Nashville area. So appreciate you tuning in here. The Broncos resurgence really wild, and I'm jealous as a Titans fan. Yes, I would think you are after the Titans and Big Will there not getting the job done. Tyler, what's your thoughts there on the Broncos? Their revival there. I mean, I'm going to be honest. We have them on the list of a team that's eliminated. We had them on there earlier, Jimmy. That might be the team that comes back and bite us in the you-know-what.
When you get beat by 51, it's not that far-fetched.
Yeah, I felt like that was a good idea.
Yeah, they give up 70, like put a fork in it, but they're kind of another WWE reference. They're pulling an Undertaker right now. You're hearing the bell, and they're
coming back, man.
Right back up.
They are. It pisses me off as a Raiders fan. Go ahead, T.
I mean, I still don't really believe in the Broncos. They have some good wins. They beat the Bills. They beat the Chiefs. They had their second and third rushing touchdowns of the season this week. I still don't know how well they're running the ball. They are a little above 4 yards per carry in the last 4 weeks, which is good enough.
Them close enough to kick field goals
and punt the ball away and keep field position. And the defense has stepped up since that 70 burger that the Dolphins hung on them. It's hard to believe in this team. I believe in Sean Payton as a good head coach. I don't know. Russell Wilson finds ways to win games. I've seen it his whole career against the Niners. But if they
beat the Browns team, Tyler, that's their defense is unreal. Right? 29 points. I'm not saying the great one, but the Browns aren't we were talking about them being they're a top 4. I've heard talk show they're a top 4 AFC team going into this week. And the Broncos beat them
DTR quarterback. That's absurd.
If we look at that game, what defense was more physical? The Broncos defense was way more physical. And let's shift this over to the AFC North. Jordan, are we about to get AJ McCarron and Joe Flacco starting football games in the AFC North again next week?
Oh, wow. I hope we see AJ McCarron. I really do.
When I was looking at PJ Walker on the sideline, he just had that distant look. Honestly, I said it with my family as we were watching. He's like, oh, why couldn't I be the one that got knocked out of the game right now? I mean, feel bad for DTR. He took a shot. Woo! I don't know if it should have been flagged necessarily. It was definite. I mean, that's what they've been calling, and the Broncos have a history of that. But I also that defensive performance today was probably the best that it's been all season. And it was against a very bad offense. So I don't know how much we can take from that. The running defense is still where I think they're going to struggle. And I think they lost somebody today. They had to put in a backup. But this Broncos team for now, they're at least always live. They're live. That's all Nico really wanted. So they're live every single week.
The Broncos revival, Jimmy.
I will defend Cleveland a little bit. They did have some starting corners out today. I do think that makes such a difference in their schemes, when it can leave guys on islands. And send the dogs every play. Missing Denzel Ward especially is that's a cut down guy. That you saw a lot of plays where 50-50 balls. Denzel Ward splits up probably about 20% of some of those deep passes we saw go today against him. But definitely, I do think. I mean, they touched on Joe Flacco. I mean, he was there. They said he's been in team meetings all week in the local media around here. They said he's been coaching stuff up. Like I said, I touched on this last week. He had over 1,000 yards for the Jets last season.
I don't want him. Do you want him quarterbacking the Bengals right now? You don't want him quarterbacking
the Bengals.
The Browns.
Anybody else in the world right now than
Brownie. I found this funny. When they say about. Oh, go ahead, Tyler. I thought you had something on your mind.
No, I was going to move on from this game more to just a general point. Is this some of the we're talking about Joe Flacco and AJ McCarron being potential improvements in the QB position? Is this some of the worst low end quarter? I'm not going to say of all time, but low end quarterbacks like in the NFL, it has to be some of the worst in the history.
Well, look at two rookies.
I know
that
it's
Daren
played
and
way
Jimmy
differently.
touched on. Well, Will Levi's, as I like to call him, and then we got my guy, and then we got our number one pick. They're supposed to be rookies, to your point, and they don't look like they're ready to go at all.
No, then we have Tommy DeVito and like it's just a
You're gonna like this guy. He's a good fella.
He loves you. He gonna die.
I look like a clown.
Funny how?
Yeah,
funny like I'm a clown? Like I amuse you? I'm here to amuse you?
Bryce Young looked like a little guy today. Like
He looks like a child playing football.
Yeah, he does look. He looks so tiny out there doing the Titans won. I don't know if you like that win out there, Chris. If I was a Titans fan, I'm not so sure if I like that win out there. All right, let's get to it. Those are our games of the day. We'll keep it moving here. Some of the other games there. Your Steelers. Let's get to it. I'm just kidding. Not your Steelers. The Bengals. They get for the first time. The Steelers have got over 400 yards. They fire Matt Canada. They showed a stat. You guys probably saw it. In like 75 games. What was it? Yeah, there's your shirt, Jimmy. There it is. Just say no.
I still stand behind this.
And I can't be. I'm kind of with you on that one. But always, was it 75 games? You guys are like, it's been 75 games since you guys have had 400 yards. Nobody had done that since the Raiders from 2005 to 2010. The only difference is you guys were 11 games over 500. The Raiders were like 18 and like 34. So or the Steelers. So like the Steelers are just ridiculous and like the way they do things. Your Bengals, they get off to the lead a little bit. They get the miracle catch there on the chase, a little bobble there, gets the run out right. It kind of looks like you guys got a little thing going, and then Browning makes
We did, and I had flashbacks to my flag football season. If you're going to throw an out route, the one place you cannot leave it is high into the inside. High into the inside, every cornerback, and the four of us could be standing there, and if you leave it to the inside, we will at least knock it down or at least impede the ball. One spot. You can't throw it to one spot. And you were doing fine up until that point.
Changed the game.
Yes, that was the game. Because if we get up by 2 touchdowns on Pittsburgh, who's going to sit here and tell me a 14-point lead against Pittsburgh doesn't seem insurmountable right now?
Your D did give up an 80-yard drive after that, though, to be fair, as our guy here ends up.
Are we all fans of the league here? Because I said this earlier, too. I didn't get my taco buy. They fired Matt Canada the week before we played him. I didn't get my taco buy. I didn't get to face this god-awful play caller that wants to throw a screen every fourth play. I'm filing a grievance with the league.
It's time to clean house. It's time to clean house.
Whoa, what does that mean?
That means we need to fire our offensive coordinator. Callahan's got to go. I think Zach Taylor's.
It means that if Burrow isn't there, they suck.
No, it means we come out with a game plan like Burrow's there. We throw the ball 40 times. We run the ball 11 times. 11 times.
Well, yeah, I wanted to look at it. Your stats were awful. That did stand out to me today.
You have a backup rookie quarterback, and we have Joe Mixon in the backfield. We have Chris Evans we can activate and call up. We have Travion Williams sitting back there. We have extra offensive linemen we can put in. And we put him in passing situations against one of the best defensive ends in the game. Watt, love him or hate him, he's like second in the league in sacks. And we want to pass the ball on 3rd and 3 on a drive that we have to get. It's sickening. Of course we're going to go up a sack. Joanne Williams can't block a fucking paper cut right now. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. He goes to the inside. You're lining up against Watt. It doesn't matter what coach says what, and you let him blow right by you, and the tight end goes to the inside. Drew Sample, I don't understand it. There is a serious coaching issue. Frank Pollock needs to absolutely go. We're down to now 2 years of Joe Burrow being on the sidelines in the middle of the season. It's sickening. We're 6th in spending an offensive line that's not showing, so it's a coaching issue. You're 6th in the league in spending. So we have 24 other teams below us that spend less, which we as fans bitch every year. We're like, oh, it's the offensive line. Well, we made 2 major moves the last 2 years, and it doesn't show. And it's because it comes down to coaching and game plan. You can't throw the ball 50 times a game when your offensive line can't block a simple backside bandit. And you have Joe Mixon, he takes a pay cut. and we're only asking him to run the rock 11 times. It's absolutely sickening.
He only ran it 8. He only ran it 8 times.
It's time to go. It's time to clean house.
We
have
like
got
he's
to
had
find a
back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons within the last 5 years, right? It's not like he had 2,000-yard seasons in a row that if we gave him some carries and he'd be able to produce, right? He would be able to. And our shitty offensive line would probably benefit from run blocking a time or two. Everything that I said about the Broncos and the way that they want to win games, this is what the Bengals need to be for the rest of the season. You got to be boring.
They were going 4 wide today. Like, you're right. They were going 4 wide out there, like spreading it out, like way wide.
TJ Watt got the free rush on one of their tight ends. Their tight end was the guy that was assigned to pass block him.
Kyle Shanahan's done that once, and we lost an elbow in the process. I've seen it happened, but I get it.
I mean, to your point though, Jordan, like they were all, like that's a frustrating loss, like right there with you on the outright. Like you guys are kind of in play. You get at least a field goal there. At least the Broncos have to go, or at least the Steelers now have to kind of go all the way back down. Like it totally changed the whole game in that regard. So yeah, tough loss on that end. It kind of.
I need my taco buy back.
Go ahead, Tyler.
If you could change something from the 2020 draft when you took Chase, would you go with the offensive lineman and Penei Sewell, who you could have got out of Oregon, or are you happy with what you got and now you have Burrow running for his life often? Or is that just like it would end up being the same thing? Like where would you go with that?
No, because nobody knew Michael Jordan was going to be a terrible pick out of Ohio State and be the guard that gives up the sack to ruin his knee. I mean, they've tried. Like I said, we're 6 in spending. It's not a lack of trying.
So you think the head coach goes at the end of the year possibly too, or no? He's safe.
If I was Duke Tobin and I wanted to save my job, I would fire the offensive coordinator, the O-line, and the head coach.
Titans or Bengals.
I really would.
Compared to the Titans, that's not good right now.
But wouldn't you agree that when you build an offensive line through free agency, it's normally not the way to do it? Like some teams are successful in it, but it's a tough way to build. You're going to overspend do it for those positions. What was that?
I watched the Patriots do it for a decade.
Yeah, well, they had Tom Brady.
We have
Joe Burrow. If you can protect him.
Who was the guy that you drafted out of Alabama with Jimmy? We said at the beginning of the year.
It was Jonah Williams. That was before Burrow and Zach Taylor. I think that it was.
We had Andre.
It was the Michael Jordan. It was the Michael Jordan pick. We ended up missing on. We weren't able to draft Tevin Jenkins, who got drafted by the Bears like 4 picks in front of us. That was the offensive lineman that I wanted to get. So obviously that was the topic of conversation as a Bengals fan and sports media at the time was who should they draft? Should it be Chase or should it be Sewell? And yeah, it would be nice to have Penei Sewell. And do I think that what the Lions did with that draft pick and what they've now done with Dan Campbell, that would be awesome to have that be my team too. But I don't think that's the way that Burrow is really successful. That's not the style of football that he plays. I don't know. I'm probably trying to talk myself into it, but it was the 2nd round pick where they picked Michael Jordan and weren't able to pick the guy that I thought would have helped him out a little bit more there. I don't know.
Well, the Ravens robbed us too. We have Linderbaum, and Linderbaum went 2 picks ahead of us.
I wanted Ragnow that year that Ragnow got drafted, and it was a pick ahead of us. I slammed the bottle of Jack's Fire that night.
You guys are toast. Like it's over. Like this year, you guys know that Jimmy. We might be putting him on the list after this, but I don't feel like we can't officially yet. I mean, Browning showed nothing though in this game, right? Like Tyler, are you walking away from an outsider like me saying this guy's pathetic?
And the guy hasn't played in how many years of any meaningful football? I think Jimmy said it on last Talkin the Gridiron, like played CU in the Rose Bowl or the college football championship for Pac-12.
2018,
he was like a top. Yeah, he was like a top 5 pick going into the year. He ends up slipping to whatever he gets picked, and it's never lived up to
fourth round by Minnesota, and has never been elevated above practice squad until this season.
And the Steelers do it again. They just they do it again. Like this, like every week we on this show are like,
the Steelers didn't do shit.
7-4.
The Bengals lost this game.
I don't know what to tell you. You would take the W. That's all I know.
I would have taken.
Can we talk about the Steelers receivers and how they seem to pick the most talented receivers late, but just the worst teammate. The most
Was there a drama situation
from Plaxico Burress, like after Hines Ward. It's like Plaxico Burress, Martavis Bryant, Antonio Holmes. The list goes on. Antonio Brown. Now we have Deontay Robinson and George Pickens.
Yeah,
just all divas. Like everyone goes, oh,
Isn't George Pickens the guy who ran the Georgia Tech DB's head into the wall that one year when Georgia was playing Georgia Tech? Isn't that George Pickens? That was awesome.
If you're a Steelers receiver though, Tyler, you're getting. There's games where it's like you better be blocking 90% of the time. Like it's just like
who gives a shit? That's what you're on the team. That's what the team.
I know, but I think that's part of it. These guys like want the rock a little bit too. Like
that's why we need to play with 10 offensive linemen, quarterback, and running back, and that'll be it.
But all those receivers I mentioned,
8 offensive linemen, whatever.
Like in games,
I hear you. I don't know. Well, let's keep it moving here. Jonathan Taylor, they beat the Bucks. They come out with a win. Like I said, they get the 7 seed now. They currently. Oh, just real quick here. We'll start with you, Jordan. Do you see them holding on to the 7 seed right now? They hold it over the Texans. They hold it currently over the Broncos at the moment. We talked about we got obviously the Chargers going on right now. I'm not sure where we're at the game there, but we got that going on. What do you think? Do they hold on to that 7 seed? Josh Edwards, little shout out to your Colts.
I don't think they hold on to the 7th seed. I can see the Texans.
Come on, baby.
I don't think they have the team for the longevity, especially at the quarterback position. I love what he's doing. I love his play, but it's just I don't have a belief deep down that they can finish the next 4 or 5 weeks for that 7th seed. I think the AFC is going to be wide open in about a week or two.
6-5 at the moment right now on it. What do you think there, Tyler?
I mean, I want to say I don't believe in them because of Gardner Minshew, but they play the Titans, who I believe in Gardner Minshew more than I believe in their quarterback. Then they play the Bengals with Browning, and then they play the Steelers with Pickett. Then they play the Falcons with Ritter. Then they play the Raiders with I can't think of number 4, Daren, the fat Carr. And then they play the Texans
3 years in a row.
Don't count out the Raiders. They lost today, but they looked a lot better.
What a first half.
The Chiefs, we can get into the Chiefs later, but I don't want to believe in the Colts. I don't want to see them. They don't have a chance of winning a playoff game in my estimation. But
I don't want to see that.
This schedule is cake.
It's pretty cake there. What do you think about the cake? How about a cake mid-division? We keep talking about it. John, out of your Falcon mind, you got the win today, John. Big win there for your team there. They get the dub over Derek Carr. I mean, could you
Falcons are in first place?
Unbelievable. Yeah, because they have the tiebreaker over them. Titans will beat Indy. Yeah, exactly. I think the Titans could beat the Colts there. Yes, they end up beating them today. They're in first place, believe it or not, at the moment. Carr throws a pick, 92-yard return, sets it all up.
From your boy.
Bates, former Bengal.
Tyler, I mean, we just been saying it. Yeah, Bates gets the interception. Yeah, that'd be nice after.
Baby, come back. Baby. You can blame it all on me.
Tyler, I feel like they're being justified with Carr a little bit.
I mean, the guy's okay from 20 to 20, but once he gets in the red zone, he's god-awful. He just doesn't – he is afraid to pull the trigger, and when he does, he just leads defenders right into the ball for picks.
I bet he was a monster.
I think they kicked 5 – I think they kicked 5 field goals less than 40 yards or around 40 yards or less. He just can't finish drives, and it's why
Can I give you his quote on that interception for 92 yards? I think you'll like. He goes, yeah, that was just a well-read play. That was the right throw to make.
After the fact,
that's what he said. After the game, I was like, you better give me more than that when you throw a 92-yard interception.
He's on Brandon Staley level of deflection right now.
Do you think he doesn't start for a team or next year? Or do you think he plays for like a team that drafts a quarterback in the first round and he gets like one last start kind of type of deal? Do you think he's done with the Saints? Do you think they give him more years because of his contract?
I know.
I think he'll be back one more year.
You think he'll be back? I don't know. Like I just feel like if he can't win this division, I mean, my gosh.
It feels like this is what I was missing out on when the Saints were the terrible team in the NFL. Because I don't remember the Saints really being the terrible Saints that they were when, like, all the way up to their history until after when Drew Brees and Sean Payton got there. Like, that's basically my first memories of New Orleans. And now it's weird to see them on the other side of things because they're always no. And Derek Carr, yeah, I don't think you can get rid of him right now. But
would you rather have Ritter or Carr, Jimmy? Just kidding.
It's got to be Carr.
Would you rather have Ritter or Carr?
We were talking about DeVito earlier. I'm going to do my Italian duty, and I'm going to plead the fifth.
I'm going to plead the fifth. What do you guys got?
Yeah, my first memories of the Saints are the John Carty missed extra point after the crazy play with Aaron Brooks and
Oh, what a play!
Deuce McAllister. You remember that play?
Yes.
I don't believe in the Saints at all. Dennis Allen's a terrible head coach, and Derek Carr's is gonna be 500 at best.
Jaden Daniels, LSU to the States. Wow, I like it. Well, we got that'd be a nice little.
You don't want Carr to mentor your young quarterback. You do not want Carr to mentor your. Listen, everybody wants to talk shit about checkdowns. Here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna be the checkdown king. I know that you threw the ball 45 yards of play at LSU. I know that you love to throw those deep bombs. Those aren't going to be open in the NFL. I mean, I don't even think you're legally allowed to throw it past 15 yards. Are you? You are? Oh, okay. So disregard everything I just said there.
That'd be funny. He's like, "Hey, you just look left every time. That's all we're doing. We're just looking left."
Where's Kamara? Where is he? And where's he going? That's where I'm going with the football.
And they get the Saints. Like, I don't know. That to me, what a bad loss. Like we've been ripping on the Falcons. We have been ripping on them, and Jordan. That's a bad loss in my opinion.
The Falcons used Devon Robinson right finally.
They did finally a touchdown for you, right?
I mean, so question for you guys: should they shut it down and let Derek Carr actually heal and see what he's got next year, or do they keep just throwing him into the pot?
I think for his career, he'll want to play.
I didn't know he was hurt.
If you sit Derek Carr down, he's going to cry and say how much he loves his franchise and how you're doing him wrong. So I don't know if you can sit him down and get him back. That's what he did with the Raiders. So.
That's my quarterback.
That's my quarterback, man. I need him.
I love this team.
Vandy Chris, my first memory of the Saints was kicking an extra point to beat the Jets in Game 16 to end up 1-15. Well, that's a good distinction. The Lions decided to go in 16 about 20 years later after that. The Saints for me, it was funny. I was watching this. ESPN always has these funny, good stories once in a while. There was an Archie Manning one that I saw the other day, so that's good. I saw that on the.
My favorite clip of him on the Saints is when he gets his jersey torn off because he gets.
Yeah, I saw that was on there.
All defensive linemen that were in on the play. The Saints offensive line basically were just like they were basically just bouncers that allowed you into the club. Here, yep, you want to go sack him? Here you go. There you go.
There you go.
Come on in. You take your shot. Go ahead.
So the Falcons 5-6. Like I said, they hold the lead. Bucks 4-7. Saints also 5-6, but they hold the tiebreaker. Panthers 1-7. That puts a bow on that division. Real quick here, Jimmy. Best defense in the NFL right now. Is it the Browns still after a game like this?
I don't know if you could say it's the Browns. I mean, the San Francisco defense seems to have bounced back. I think San Francisco is probably going to be where I'm leaning right now. I know that they're going to have to make some adjustments with is Ufunga. We talked about him going down last week. Is he out for the season now?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, he's done. He tore his ACL.
Yeah, it's going to be an adjustment not having somebody that's like that. But John Lynch and company seem to have guys that can step in. I think I see them being a little bit more consistent. Kansas City's defense also has been really good, but their offense is trying to overshadow how good that defense has been playing with how bad they are. So I'm gonna say Kansas City or San Francisco are my two choices.
You guys concur? Does Pittsburgh get in the talk? Does somewhere else in there? Tyler, what do you think?
I was leaning towards Pittsburgh. The Niners losing to Hufanga really hurts as much as Niners fans don't want to admit it. They seem to back weird players and then rip on players that are actually good. Seems like to be the San Francisco way, but I think it's Pittsburgh with the draft of Porter. They have when Minkah Patrick gets healthy, and then TJ Watt seems to be on a different level than any other pass rusher except Myles Garrett.
God, he's good.
But he's so good. I just think that pass rush with. And
how
then you have
how do they fall these guys,
also.
Tyler? How
I
do
think
they fall?
Pittsburgh's the best defense.
How do those guys like TJ Watt fall in the draft, though, Tyler? Like I just don't get it. Like,
TJ Watt was the first one of his size before him. Nobody his size at his position was that dominant and that unnecessary. And so
pedigree, there had to be something there. Where you're
pedigree, really? Sibling?
I don't know. Like to me, I just see what Let me ask you,
Triple
as soon
H.
as the Steelers took him, I was like, he's a stud. Like, like that's all that mattered to me. Is like, so obviously he was going to be a beast. As soon as the
It's
Steelers
really
took
hard
him.
to say that one brother's the 2-time back-to-back defensive player of the year and won it, I think, 3 out of 4 or 3 out of 5 seasons. Like it's hard to say that just because he's related.
doesn't always-
Where's Derek Watt's Hall of Fame career?
Never mind.
Yeah, where
where's
are all the
Cooper?
Gronkowskis?
We were talking Archie
You know?
Manning. Where's Cooper Cup? Where's Cooper? Or there wasn't Cooper Manning. We need. He didn't
I
make
mean,
it all.
Cooper had an illness, so that's
Yeah,
why he never
did.
went past
That's,
high school.
That's fair. That's fair. We can't be judged on that part. Hey, you talked about McCaffrey there with it, with a little thing here at Vandy Chris. I don't think Jacksonville, at least for me, is the team to beat in the AFC. Well, we kind of touched on that, but I think right before you came down, we kind of were all a little bit unsure about them still. Going long term a little bit with it. We did talk a little Sunshine though. We do feel like, what was your question? Sunshine or who was it? Tyler? Yeah,
CJ Stroud.
CJ Stroud. That's who it was. McCaffrey, let's go there,
I
Tyler.
like
You're
him better with the long hair, bro. Reminded me of Bertier's mama.
That's such a great.
Hey man, why you talk about Bertier's mama? Now you make me mad. I'm not gonna be able to take your mama to the prom no more.
That is a holiday movie too coming out here in the holiday. That's a great one. You did that impression pretty well, Jimmy. Well done here with the
I've
Italian
seen that
accent.
movie quite a few times. I play it going into Christmas break in my classroom just about every year.
That's actually a good call for PE too. I should use that one as well going into that.
I teach
but
social
yeah,
studies.
so that's not bad as social studies. You can use that. So
There's social. There's a lot of social elements.
We do it after the apartheid lesson, so we go from African segregation to American segregation.
That worked. There we go. We used to watch those type of movies. I remember my senior year in high school. All we watched, I felt like the teacher just recorded the 30-minute news from 5 to 5:30 on ABC, and that's all we watched every day. For it was God bless that guy. At least got that. Tyler, Christian McCaffrey, 2 TDs in the first half. You get Williams back. He's a beast. I mean, just like there's not many times you're like, man, that offensive lineman is just massive. And he's just like, he just overtakes like everything in the world there. And you guys it had to feel good to have some turkey had to feel good to have a little turkey there at midfield on the Seahawks logo this year.
Yeah, we took over Lumen Field for Thanksgiving. It was
Is
an
that what it's
interesting
called now,
game.
Lumen Field, about the 12.
Yeah, no, it's not Lumen Field. At least that's what they said on the broadcast every 10 minutes about Seattle and how loud it was and whatnot. But the first half was great. We moved the ball at will. Then Purdy struggled in that second half to strike the Ayuk, which was a big time throw. As far as just, I didn't know, like, it's good that he put that on tape, that people have to respect, like, that type of throw. I don't think a lot of people, that's the throw people question, does he have? And I think that he put it on tape, and it was good to see. The defense was good at times, but it kind of slowed down in the third quarter. The third quarter scared the shit out of me. I was like, we're falling apart at the seams. And then we got, I believe, the fumble that changed everything. And it was from there on out. Christian McCaffrey's a beast. That trade changed the franchise in a lot of ways. And then with Debo and Trent Williams back, we're tough to beat.
And that Debo little handoff at the goal line, it's like, well, he walks in. He walks in. And then there's 9 other options there at the time. It's ridiculous. And the turnovers you guys get, Fred Warner is a freak in nature. He just is everywhere on one at the time.
Fred Warner is probably my favorite linebacker.
He's a beast. He's a beast,
well,
right?
Logan Wilson's my ultimate number one, but Fred Warner is my second favorite one to watch. Yes,
that's fair. I mean, why is that?
He's just, his instincts, and he's fearless. He has a lot of the same mentality. I'm in wrestling season now with what I'm coaching. So he has that same mentality from like his competitive karate days where it's one-on-one competition. He kind of thrives on that. And he just leads by example. He's all over the place. He's a wild guy, but he's like a hybrid between that Ray Lewis thump you in the middle type linebacker, but he can also run sideline to sideline and cover anybody on the field.
He's a beast. He's one of those guys where I'm like, I wish my team had always. You're like, I wish my guy had that team because they're gonna make every tackle from sideline to sideline.
I'm sitting over here giggling because I remember Christian McCaffrey being the best player in the state of Colorado. I watched him in high school. I played against him in high school, and on his team, he's not the best athlete. He was the best athlete, hands down, in the state that we had. He scored on every single time that he had the ball, and then he played defense and had 5 interceptions at safety or corner, or whatever he decided to play that day. And just the level of studs that San Francisco has, they're collecting gems.
And Jordan, that play call at the goal line where he like squeezes through those offensive linemen, like the timing, like I feel like the Niners, like what our guy Chris here said it here in a little movie, said the Niners, they're just on a different level, like we've been saying. Like that was a game, right?
And McCaffrey just kind of he didn't immediately try to pop through the hole. He let it develop. He just has that IQ where he just like, I'm not gonna rush. Let me see what's going on here. And then, if the play is designed outside, you just see him make amazing cuts back to the inside. It's just he's one of the most patient running backs I've ever seen, probably since Jamal Lewis, to be honest. Just lets things develop in front of him and makes a decision.
Jamal Lewis, a little shout out there. I like that right there. We talked about him last week a little. He got a little shout out last week on the show too. I don't know, Tyler. I mean, your team looking when they play at an elite level, my friend, they look like the best in the business. You guys get the Eagles next week, though.
But you compare, like you say, they're the best. We asked, what are the Eagles' weaknesses? And maybe I don't watch Eagles enough to like shout them out as quickly as I could. The 49ers weaknesses. The right side of the 49ers line is pathetic.
So do you think that's where
terrible.
they're
When you watch them play the Eagles, Reddick, Davis, and
Jalen Carter.
Jalen
Carter.
Eat that offensive lineup. And then our third corner on the slot is questionable. It's been better since the bye, or since the 3 losses in a row. But there are actual real weaknesses in this roster.
So what do you run? Like a lot of screens?
Well, that's you try and find a tight end. So Kittle should be your guys' go-to guy because I'll tell you what the Eagles' weakness is outside of their defensive line and Slay, pretty much the back end of their defense from linebacker all the way to safety. That's where they don't have much invested and they have a lot of injuries. So if you're going to attack them, I know the motions and running the ball is Shanahan's way, and he's going to do that still, but play action, get the ball to the tight end, let him run and run these scrubs over that Philly has playing at the linebacker and safety level.
In the game today, I found is like can Purdy be what Allen was? That like Allen made a lot of plays outside, like moving around there. Like
he's not going to rush.
No, he's not.
I just like that.
No, that's your point. Like if he gets that pressure, can he manipulate the pocket quite the way Allen did today? And I guess that's going to be a question. I'm just saying like now Shanahan might set Purdy up better for those obvious plays. Yeah. But that's a big difference. Like I felt like today when watching that game, a lot of it was manipulated from Allen, just kind of like stepping through, faking that kind of stuff. And if the Niners do that, Tyler, I don't feel like that's going to be as successful. I don't know. Do you think they can run the ball against the Eagles?
Yeah, I think they can run I think they'll run the ball fine. I think the difference maker is Kyle's play calling and Kyle's setting up plays and the Niners play action. The Niners play action game is 100 out of 100, where the Bills are a 0 out of 100, where they can get guys going in the wrong direction. So I think that's where you slow down the pass rush. But it could get if we get behind, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, Kevin Bird there, a guy Manny Chris shout out for that. They did make that trade. The Titans helping out the Eagles every time they can, doing the best they can to be an assist there for the Eagles this year.
Chase Young's starting to look more comfortable for the 49ers.
He's been great.
We can't count that out yet.
And who was the guy, Hargrove? Who was the guy they got from the Eagles last year?
Hargrave. The defensive line, since they acquired Young, I think they have 15 sacks in 3 weeks. They've been getting a lot of pressure. They've been doing a good job.
Smith had no chance. Big Gino had no chance on Thanksgiving. he had no chance.
That was horrible.
Seahawks haven't had an offensive line going
I don't
back
want to
to
see
Russ.
Drew Lock. I don't think he had any business being in the game.
Oh man, he was so dead. He was so.
And if Tavarius Ward can do the job he did on DK to AJ Brown, that'd be a huge plus as well. We'll see. AJ Brown's probably a little more refined, but they're both big, strong receivers.
It'll be next week. Will be a fun game. 125.
If you're saying Tyler, the slot corner is going to be an issue, Devontae Smith may end up being the secret weapon because that's where he's going to be. They're going to keep Brown on the outside. Then Smith is probably going to find the slot matchups. And if that is as much of a mismatch as you're saying, but it comes what we were talking about with the Eagles too. And you mentioned it with the coaching, but the coordinators are like a huge X factor that San Francisco has over the Eagles, because I said it at the beginning of the season with this show. It's like they don't know what they have and like how they're going to win, especially early on. They were trying to make Jalen Hurts turn into Joe Montana and run a West Coast offense, and that's just not what he does. It's not what he does well. He can throw the football, but it's within the scheme that they're starting to use. So if the coordinators try and get cute and make some boneheaded decisions, it's basically going to be Jason Kelce and Jalen Hurts versus Kyle Shanahan and the defensive coordinator for San Francisco, and who's gonna outthink the other. But that is an X factor that San Francisco can always lean on, is the coaching.
Jimmy, you keep talking about ready for it. Let's go next Sunday. Like I'm ready. Like I'm like this time next Sunday. I want to be talking about that game. That's going to be like, to this point, that is the biggest game of the year, right? Like, can we agree to that? Like this, to me, this is the biggest. We had the Chiefs versus the Eagles last week. I feel like this is bigger. I feel like that's even bigger than that. I feel like this is kind of for NFC dominance because the Niners didn't get that chance last year. It felt like because Purdy went down so early in the game. You know this game means a lot for Niner Nation, Tyler. They would go, you guys will lose your mind on Twitter if you guys lose this game. So, well, hopefully for that sake, we'll see some of you guys out there will lose it. Turkey Day, we'll keep it going here. Love, what the heck, Lions? We tell you, maybe they're not ready. They're not ready to show up. Love looks good. He looked good in this game. I said the Lions, they lose again, 7 straight years. I thought this was the year. Jared Goff, 3 fumbles. Even though his Cal Bears beat UCLA for the last Pac-12 game of ever, we beat them last.
We put the Packers on the list, and it bit us again.
I know. I feel like the Broncos, they better lose. This cannot happen, Jimmy. We need this. I thought the Lions, I mean, right, I don't know if you guys saw that, but right from the get-go, the Lions looked dead the first quarter. Like, that was one of the games you're like, wake up, hello, and then they couldn't get going.
They played into that curse more than anybody. I think that's what, because I haven't seen Goff play that poorly this season. I know that he struggled the week before too. I thought that the way they looked against Chicago was going to be their basement. Well, no, this is their basement because this Packers team is better than they were at the start of the season, but they shouldn't be beating the Lions if the Lions are what we think they are. And I thought that they were probably that third team outside of Philly and San Francisco. It would be the Lions as the next team. I thought they were going to have the 3 seed. Now it's going to be a struggle, but like, You spent so long. That's what I didn't get about, sometimes when I watch the Bengals after that first season where they broke their curse, but you went so long being the laughing stock. I mean, you know how stupid it is that we had to talk about the Kennedy administration last week when the Lions went 8-2. The last time that they did that was the Kennedy. That's stupid. We shouldn't have to wait that long. Go out there and be the bully. Remember what it's like to lose all the time and don't give away games that you shouldn't.
Goff played like how I think he's Jordan. He played like we've been saying. He's inconsistent.
Yeah. But I'm going to blame this on scheduling a little bit because these Thursday night games in the back of my mind it's starting to stack up. We're seeing injuries on a level that we have never seen before on the NFL, especially in the skill positions and quarterback position. I'm really going to advocate for a double bye next year because these Thursday night games, they're starting to look lopsided. One team looks like, they just kind of woke up and they're putting together a preseason, and the other team looks like they're locked in and loaded. And Detroit, to me, it looked like fatigue. We're in week 12. They're on a short turnaround time. It just, I personally think that,
7 years of short turnaround time, though, to be fair.
Well, early it didn't used to matter. They could play with 18 days preparation. They still would have got walked over a few years.
I don't know what.
Ohio State about smacked Georgia. You give any team enough game prep.
a lot of things back to your Buckeyes, buddy. Yeah. Go ahead, T. What do you got?
I'm not a big Jared Goff guy. I don't believe in Jared Goff as like a Super Bowl. I know he got there with the Rams, but he was kind of carried that whole playoff run. And then in the Super Bowl, one of the boringest Super Bowls in the history of Super Bowls, he played terrible. And then he wins one more game in St. Louis or LA. And then he gets traded to Detroit, and he kind of rejuvenates his career. He looks better. I think you can win some games. I just don't buy him as a real quarterback in the playoffs.
He's not beating the Eagles or Niners.
Especially if there's any pass rush. The Lions have a great O-line, so I'll give them credit for that. But if you get any pressure in his face, he's done. And then on the flip side, Jordan Love, I've never seen Jordan Love play anywhere near the level he played that game. He was throwing sidearm like darts to Christian Watson and Dubes and Reed. I was shocked at the way Jordan Love played. I was very impressed. I wouldn't rather have him than Goff or anything, but I feel like that's what decided the game. Goff played like shit with the pass rush in his face. Love played very well.
The turnover is just killer. Like, you can't fumble as the quarterback 3 times, Jimmy.
No, and the Lions too. Their defensive line. I get that Aiden Hutchinson is a stud, but they don't get a single ounce of pass rush. He's always just close enough. He never even really gets hits. He just gets a few hurries every now and then. That's all he does. And you got to be able to generate a pass rush in this league. That's a necessity. Because normally when you're trying to make somebody one-dimensional, you make them one-dimensional and make them run the ball. Right now, I mean, the Packers could run, they could throw, they had all day. Like Jordan Love, they're figuring it out as a very young team. But the lack of pass rush and investing as much as they did with a top 5 overall pick on the defensive line, you're getting jack shit out of Aiden Hutchinson right now, other than he is a very good emotional leader, but just no sacks, not really a whole lot of tackles. He's not the J.J. Watt that we were expecting.
And what a performance on College game day pregame. What a performance by Hutchinson there. All right, Turkey Day is keep moving here with it. We get our guy Bland, 6 straight games with a 5th straight game. I mean, unreal stat. I mean, just the fact that he was able to get the opportunity to intercept the ball and return it again is it's just out of your mind. He keeps the streak going. The Commanders said, we're willing to do it. We did it. They gave into it. They threw the pick. Samuel Howell gets the job done. We knew it was going to be a blowout. We called it last week there. I mean, nothing much more to it. The turkey in the bowl. I thought that was
BCS.
Del Rio gets fired. That's my biggest news from this game. He gets fired. I'm like, oh, Mr. Rivera, door is a knocking. It's there, buddy. It's coming. So
somebody wake up Ron so that we can fire him, please.
Get those digs out on Ohio State enters are really so. Chris, we did a few. Sorry, Jordan. We're just gonna keep piling on for a little bit, but there's a hope. You said there might be hope. Let's get to your hope question here. I'm gonna go a little college for you, because I thought we Tyler were talking about it. What team should be in the college football playoff this year? Jordan, I'll give you the first. I'll give you the first 4. What do you think?
I personally. I'd say Washington, Georgia, obviously. Although I kind of have them on upset alert.
Even if they lose to Alabama,
if they lose to Alabama, hell no.
Okay.
I think you slam the door shut on that. I think Alabama actually would take that place. I think you'd kind of leapfrog them because the Pac-12 is going to mutilate each other. So Washington and Oregon are going to play each other. I got Washington. I don't think Oregon's going to play that high flying ball that you're used to seeing them. Washington kind of has a defense, kind of, but I think I hate Michigan. But I think Michigan will go. So
Texas 4. Do you agree with Vandy, Chris? Texas get 4 here? No, you got somebody else?
Texas got to win the Big 12 championship. They got to win it kind of convincingly.
What do you think, Jimmy? What do you think ends up being the 4 here?
They haven't done.
Or is there something you want? Is there a 4 you want more so?
No, I'm just as unfortunate as it is, and I don't like to talk badly about, especially because it was such a. I mean, you were in your senior day game in a mop up. This is a tune up game. You invited some BS school out there to play against you in Florida State, and then they break your starting quarterback's leg in half. They're just not. Unless they put up 80, but they didn't look very good this past weekend. They're not doing what they needed to hold their spot. Oregon and Washington is interesting because Washington seems to love to play close games. So
Yeah,
should they be finish the season undefeated? I think they're good enough to. Their passing game's one of the best since that 2019 LSU at passing game. But I'm just like, that scares me. And Oregon's damn good. Oregon's good, and Dan Lanning is from that Kirby Smart. That's the one thing about Kirby Smart's coaching trees. They love to shove it up your ass. They just like to – if you beat them, they really like to turn – they just want to turn around and beat your face in. So I could see them upsetting Washington in the Pac-12 championship. I think Washington gets knocked out then, and I think it goes Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, and man – if Washington doesn't fall completely out, they could be the 4 if they lose just in the championship. But if Texas wins the Big 12, I'd see Texas stealing that 4th spot. That's as high as I think they're able to get, though. I don't think they're going to go higher than 4 unless there's a shitload of chaos.
Tyler, let's shovel it over to you.
I'm not putting it in anybody's ass, but I got Georgia, Michigan. I think Oregon will beat Washington, but whoever
I
wins
teach
that game,
seventh graders, Tyler.
Oh, my bad. Hopefully, there's no seventh graders watching. And then I got
He's got something right here in his eye.
And then I got if Alabama beats Georgia, I think they both get in because the BCS or the college football playoff just makes
No, don't give me that shit.
That's what happens in the SEC. They get this favorable thing where they'll both get in. If Alabama beats Georgia, so I think both get in. And then I got
That's
the winner of the Pac-12 and Michigan.
It's going to get in, right?
What if Michigan lost? Well, that would be the biggest chaotic thing, huh? If Michigan loses, that would throw everything for a haywire, basically.
If Michigan loses, that gives Florida State their best chance to stay.
Yeah. Okay. So, but Michigan throws everything more for a haywire than Washington losing.
Yes.
Yeah, because people think
Florida
Michigan's
State have
a better
another game.
team. They'll play the ACC championship against Louisville, which now is not going to be as good. Louisville was about to be 11-1 going into the ACC championship, and then they fucked around and got beat by Kentucky this past weekend.
Kentucky's owned them, I think, the last 5 years?
And it's stupid because Louisville, I talked about them earlier on in the season. I thought in a 12-team playoff they'd be dangerous, but college football is the most ridiculous thing. The fact that it's legal to bet on college football, I'm not trying to yuck anybody's yum out here, but if you're betting a hefty amount of money on 18 to 24-year-old collegiate athletes who may or may not have gotten obliterated drunk the night before while studying for a physics final, you're an idiot. It's just not. I'm sorry, that's why they call it gambling. You kind of gamble with what you're going to get from these kids every single week, unless you're at Alabama, because nobody has any fun at Alabama.
Jimmy, this is America. Damn it, this is America. we can bet on horse. We can bet on dog. We can bet on anything we want.
I thought this was America. I thought this was America.
Alabama gets in there. Go ahead there, Jordan.
No, I was just teasing.
We got last little thought there, that Alabama Auburn game. I always say it's always my favorite rivalry just because something always crazy happens. I'm doing something around the house. I have it on the game. I'm like literally doing nothing. Then it's like 4th and 30. I kind of watch. My goodness, bad defense there. But I know we're NFL. We do NFL here, but I feel you guys know your college football as well. It's kind of a fun thing to talk about. We're going to be bringing that Fat Boy fadeaway tomorrow. So we'll be talking a little bit about Harbaugh and the sign stealing there. As we get to the NFL here real quick, we kind of get to the end of the third quarter here in the pod here. News and notes here real quick. Hill, again, Black Friday gets the job done. Only a Jets thing on a holiday game, right? You throw a Hail Mary. You had the butt fumble. This one is the 99-yard return on a Hail Mary. So we go from there with it. I'm sorry, Vandy Chris, your Hawkeyes, I don't think are beating Michigan. Just real quick, I don't think that's happening. Just to put a little bit on that, it's that.
Well, Iowa thinks they have a good defense. Michigan has a legit defense. So
I said, how was the over under 34? My God, Iowa. So the Hill gets down.
I was better than Maryland, and they struggled.
That is true. 99 yards, Tyler. The butt fumble, and then this. The Jets have a way to do it. Black Friday game, Amazon Bowl. They won it. The Amazon Bowl.
What a terrible! That's a terrible idea, in my opinion, to put a game on at noon West Coast time.
I didn't even know it was
on a Friday. I think it was the first. I think Al Michaels has now completed the week tria or the week. He's announced the game on every day of the week. Congratulations to Big Al. But I didn't really watch much of the game. I was busy. I was out getting a Christmas tree. I don't know. And it was the Jets. In the box score, I got what I expected.
3 o'clock Eastern time start even? That sounds terrible to me. That's and then 12 o'clock
shopping. What the hell? The NFL, this is where the NFL got a little bit out over their skis. But did you guys see
next year, right?
Did you guys see the yeah, they'll do it again next year because who gives a shit? They're printing money. So if they print it and go straight into the furnace, I don't think Roger Goodell really cares. But that's true. Did you see the ratings that they pulled on last Monday night? 29 million, highest rated Monday night game in over 25 years.
Crazy. Kansas City, you get Philadelphia market in there too. Man, you're right. That's been and the fact that they're able, the NFL is able to do that on a Friday and just take chances like that, and know that they're still going to get good ratings, like Tyler said, is unreal. We talked about the Dolphins a lot last week, so they beat the Jets there. The big news from there is Rodgers says he might come back on the 24th. Seems asinine to me that they would even give him a shot.
It's a Christmas miracle.
That's a Christmas miracle for sure on that one.
I think that's more for Rodgers' mental state going into next season than it is for the Jets trying to save their season. If he can string together a couple of good games going in, they can kind of game plan an offseason around him. So I think it's all still looking to the future.
I think it's good marketing for ayahuasca, and Aaron Rodgers is going to do whatever he does.
Devontae Adams, come to the Jets here. Come to the Jets.
I'm gonna put this whole thing of ghee butter, you know where, and then I'm gonna be back on Christmas Eve. You guys watch.
Those peptides are coming through.
Late game check here. Patrick Mahomes throws two TDs. Chiefs rally behind. Raiders, can you guard the middle of the field? No, they could not. Kelsey makes it look easy over them. I was like, every play, I was like, yep, middle open. Yep, middle open. Yep, middle open. I was like, yep, middle open. And then
what happened to that linebacker that had the pick last week? Where was he?
He did not do very good this week. He did not get the job. My guy Spillane did not get the job done. The Chiefs might have found a secret weapon, though. I put that on the little Twitter thing there. Mr. Rice there does look like he might be a little dangerous for them. You know the way Mahomes uses speed. He did. I don't know. Like, I'm just saying, throwing it out there for people. That was a little late game check there. Other late game checks. Stafford, he rolls over the Cardinals. The Cardinals really they threw the mail in on this one. Murray not prepared at all. A couple games here. Giants, Patriots. Nobody has. Well done taking that game. I mean, well done taking it. DeVito, your boy Tommy, Mr. DeVito gets the job done. The Giants, they lose their pick. Henry runs for 2 touchdowns. We talked about the Panthers. Mr. Young, he looks like me out there. He just looks like a little baby. It looks like maybe a guy, Tyler, me and you created on NFL Madden or something sometimes.
He doesn't look good. That roster is one of the
worst.
When you
see CJ Stroud as a Panthers fan, you cannot be happy.
No, that roster is so bad. It's like a Lions 0-16 roster. Like, you look at the weapons he's working with, and the O-lines is a whole sieve, like Archie Manning was dealing with, like he said. It's not very good. What was that?
Adam Thielen's not bad.
He's 40 years old, though.
He does look kind of tiny out there, Jimmy. He does look.
How did they beat the Texans? I missed that game entirely because I just, as a point of
it was like
pride,
15-13 too.
Yeah, 15-13. But I just, as a point of pride, I refused to watch the Panthers.
Smart football.
Smart game planning.
I can only handle so much in my brain, and that just seems like unnecessary. So it's like Charlie Brown when the teachers are talking, wah, 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 unless they're playing the Bengals. Then
that game.
Smart check on there.
I don't know. It's bad, and I don't know if they have the draft capital, because you would think they've traded everybody away. They've gotten rid of all their talent that they had in the former regime and trying to make this thing work. I don't even know if they're going to be able to turn around. I don't have faith in the ownership group. The owner, have you guys heard some of the stories that are coming out of there about the new owner? It's like White Goodman owning the Carolina Panthers right now. That's me literally taking the bull by the horns. I like to break a mental sweat too. Yeah, you caught me. He has like brass balls that sit on his desk, and that's when you come in to have a conversation with the owner, that's what you're staring at, and you're just like, it's not a Fortune 500 company. You're not going to make money until we're very good, so let's put some football guys in here that know what's going on. White. I'm white, I'm white. WHIT.
That's a great
He's trying to be Vince McMahon, apparently.
Hey, Jimmy, can I replace with my team? Maybe we should take off the Broncos and put my Raiders on there now.
How did the Raiders last this long?
I don't know. I think maybe do I put the Raiders 5-7? Do I put them on the list now? Are they on the list? Are they done?
I have a very low threshold for the list.
Over the Broncos,
where's Chris Jericho?
I think I got to put the Broncos.
They're going on the list.
No chance. It's on the list. All right, we're putting the Raiders on the list this week. I'll add them. I'm typing it in right now. We're adding my Raiders.
Oh, he's not looking.
Damn you, Jimmy.
You just made the list.
We got there.
You're my best friend ever, Kevin.
Best. Jimmy, you're on fire tonight. I'm liking it. You're on fire tonight. The week off has got me. You're refreshed. You got you refreshed a little bit here. Monday night, terrible. Bears Vikings. Real quick here. Give it to me. Bears. I always want the Vikings win by more than 3. Jordan, The Vikings win by more than 3.
No, I think the Vikings squeak by this. I think the Bears come out competitive for 4 quarters and then blow it. I think you're gonna see the fumbles that Justin Fields is popular for. And, I think you're gonna see 3 good quarters of football, and I think you're gonna see the Bears do what the Bears do best and fall apart.
If we see 3 quarters of good football, I'll be happy with the Monday night performance of that. Tyler, who do you got, Bears or Vikings?
I got the Bears. I don't believe in this Vikings here. I think Josh Dobbs has been overblown. I don't believe in the Bears either, but I trust Justin Fields more than Mr. Dobbs.
The car crash all of the week.
Yeah,
exactly.
Jimmy, who you got?
I've been very open. My girlfriend is a Vikings fan, and she placated me and went with me to see Napoleon, which
how was
subjugated her to a guillotine scene within the first 5 minutes. And then the horse that he's riding in on in like the first 25 minutes gets shot in the chest with a cannon and like completely explodes. It's the level of violence is something that I haven't seen since Saving Private Ryan the very first time.
Damn.
Overall, it's not terrible. It's kind of dumb. It's written by one of my 7th grade students. It's Joaquin Phoenix. So if you've seen a Joaquin Phoenix movie, it's very on brand for what those are. They tried to make it like Gladiator, but it's just not as good as Joaquin Phoenix. Isn't as good as Russell Crowe. I didn't get behind him as much as Napoleon as I did about Maximus.
Well, he was in Gladiator too. I heard this was going to be whether this movie does good, whether they do a Gladiator 2 or not.
Oh God! Don't do a Gladiator 2.
It'll do good. Here's the crazy thing. So I've said that I'm a social studies teacher. We saw this movie with like all the other social studies teachers in the region. Everybody was like white, middle-aged, possibly divorced. It was very comfortable for me to go into this movie theater because that was the only people going to see it. But it was the most filled theater I've been in since COVID.
And I haven't been. I was just thinking I haven't been to a movie in a long time since we're talking about that. So Monday night, not a great game going on there with it. We talked a little bit about Week 12's best matchups. Niners, Eagles are definitely on the list. Thursday night game, guys. Seahawks, Cowboys is that game going on. The Sunday night game is Chiefs, Packers, not terrible. And then we said your Bengals, Jaguars is the game as well on Monday night. So those are your primetime games next week. The only other game, kind of a significance, I feel like that kind of both teams are still in it, believe it or not, is Lions at Saints. I feel like that's like in terms of standings matter. Those are the ones that matter a little bit there with it. So that's where I feel like you got Week 13 look ahead matchups there with it. What do you guys think for Week 13? It basically comes down to Eagles Niners, right? I feel like that's the game that matters.
Oh yeah, that's the premium game of the week right there.
Not Jaguars Bengals, Jordan. We can't go there with it. Come on, Mr. Brownie doesn't do the job for us.
I'm just gonna go cry. I hate Monday Night Football.
I hope Browning gets benched.
Tyler, what do you got?
I mean, it's obviously 49ers, Eagles, but the Colts Broncos or the Texans Broncos game has a little significance now.
Oh, that's a good call.
After a couple wins.
Damn it,
that's about all I saw on the list that really.
That's a good call. Broncos, Jimmy, they win that. My goodness, Denver. Nico's going to be off the hook, though. I mean,
he's already all the way back. It's funny because we went for in about the span of 4 weeks. I will never pick the Broncos on this program. For the entire rest of the season, I will fade the Broncos unless they're playing. And then it was I will fade the Broncos unless they're playing an AFC West opponent. And now we're all the way back on like the orange and blue goggles. 12-5 season loading. We're gonna make the playoffs. The defense. If Stroud can come in and play well against this defense that seems to be surging, we already know what the Broncos are gonna do. The Broncos are just gonna try and rope a dope and keep it close enough so that Russ can throw 1 touchdown pass at the end of the game and play really good defense. It's boring. It's very boring football.
I like how you call that the rope a dope. I like that. That's a good call for it, though. So, yeah, that's a good call there, Tyler, just to see from a standing standpoint. Who would have thought earlier in the year Texans and Broncos come Week 13 would be a big match?
I thought this was going to be for the first pick in the draft.
Exactly. Now we're actually thinking about it as something that matters. Last thing here, game ball. Player that showed up today for you Week 12. I'm going to go, like we said, Jordan Love. I mean, like I said, maybe the best game I've seen him play in a while, 268, 3 touchdowns. He's my game ball for the week. I mean, I guess we could always go with Mahomes. Those guys played well too. Jordan, you got a game ball for the week?
I think you took my idea right out of the air. Jordan Love coming out of nowhere after I've been saying week after week after week on this program that Jordan Love underperforming. I say it on the tailgate show. He's underperforming. He looked good in the beginning, and they kind of faded out. But nobody looks sharper right now than Love did on Thursday night. So definitely, I mean, we can give a shout out to the Dallas Cowboys for a little bit, but they're BCS material. But definitely Jordan Love this week is on my mind.
I like it, BCS material there. Tyler, who do you get for game ball?
I went Kyron Williams. He's been out since week 7. Came back, just an unbelievable game. 16 rushes, 143 yards, 6 catches for 61 yards, and 2 reception touchdowns. The Rams, playing the crappy Arizona Cardinals, looked like the real deal on offense for the first time since week 7, to be real.
To your point, he was the first guy since 2017, Kareem Hunt, 125 yards rushing, 50 yards receiving, and 2 touchdowns. So 6
and on
years.
My bed.
On your bed. That's all right. That's a fantasy. That's how it will happen. Now you remember him forever in that regard. Jimmy, who you got for game ball?
I got PJ Locke, the safety for the Broncos that stepped in for Kareem Jackson, who's now been suspended for the 2nd time this season. He was all over the place at the end of that game. And I know it was a bad Browns offense, but he made life miserable for Philip Walker and for Dorian Thompson-Robinson towards the end of that game. It kind of seemed like maybe they don't need Kareem Jackson on the field for as much as they do because he's liable to get a 15-yard penalty and possibly get himself kicked out of the game because he refuses to adjust. Now, I'm not saying whether or not his hits have been warranted and the punishment and everything like that, but it's like what we talk about in the NHL. If you are a repeat offender and you constantly get in trouble for something, if you do even the slightest thing, if you happen to trip somebody, you're going to get a 10-game suspension. So you better start walking and crossing the street at the crosswalks, Kareem Jackson, because PJ Locke might Wally Pip your ass. He looked awesome today.
Didn't he get a 15-yard penalty early also that they mentioned? He played great.
You got to play a little bit on the edge. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, he played good. No, I thought he played really good.
I know.
Well.
I'm just talking out of both sides of my mouth, Tyler.
Draymond Green, Warriors will get it. That's part
really
of Fat Boy Fadeaway. We'll make our return tomorrow night. After 2 months off, Fat Boy Fadeaway will be back tomorrow night with it. Jimmy, you guys have been doing a lot of work with Far to the Bench. Tyler will have Casey, I think, on Tuesday. Will be our original Fat Boy Fadeaway. You guys have been doing a lot with it. I've been enjoying I've been watching the picks beforehand a little bit this year with it, so it's been kind of fun doing the show with you. I've been watching it. Jordan, I know you guys have been doing the tailgate show. Doug was a little bit sick this week. His kids were sick, so it didn't work out. Jimmy, you guys got anything going this weekend Far to the Bench? You and Rev done? What do you guys got going on?
Yeah, we got another show this week for Far to the Bench. Rev and I didn't get a chance to get linked up. I enjoyed a little bit too much Thanksgiving celebration, and I'm sure he probably did the same as well. And he was working because this is his busy time of the year. So we'll get back on there real quickly. Colorado Mines, shout out to them. They did win. They're in the region final. Possibility to go and make the quarterfinals for the 3rd year in a row. They beat Augustana 51-6, 51-10, and absolutely dominated what people thought was one of the top 10 teams in the country. So top of the mountain, we'll be back on Friday. And then I haven't been doing Sunday Scaries because school's been stressful, but we'll see how this week goes. Maybe I'll have a comeback of that show as well. At FEOTB Pod for all of my stuff.
Staying busy, my friend. Tyler, you guys got you guys will be doing your Niners pod probably this week as well. And then we got, like I said, Fat Boy coming out here this week. So a lot going on there too.
Yeah, Fat Boy tomorrow night. TMB is going to be tough to get in with Brian working these crazy hours. Hopefully we can find a time. If not, I'll have to do it on my own, or it'll be real short and sweet. Just explaining some 49ers storylines.
Jordan, I know we missed out on the tailgate this week, but you've been jumping on here with Talking the Gridiron here the rest of the time, enjoying that part of it. Appreciate you joining us again this week, my man.
I always appreciate being here. Appreciate talking with you guys, going over some football, watching the games. It's been really enjoyable. So really,
and like I said, we're down to week 12. We're getting into week 13 now, which is kind of crazy to think about in that regard now. So this is where the football gets a little bit better with it. Like I said, at Variety Sports Network. Before to subscribe, like to the videos there. we're all putting a lot of content out. We're spending hours on trying to do it too. Like I'm doing the basketball with Doug. I'm watching basketball games for it, football. We're doing previews for it. I'm looking into everything, giving you guys the best stuff we possibly can. I know Jimmy, Jordan, Tyler are for their shows as well. So be sure to give us a like and a subscribe there. Trying to get to 500 here by the end of the year, if possible, at Variety Sports Network. And be sure to subscribe to our channels as well, Far Under the Bench and at Fat Boy Fadeaway. Like I said, we'll be back tomorrow too. So appreciate everybody's hard work there with it. Gentlemen, another good show this week. So for Jordan Maxson, for Tyler McGurk, good to see you, my friend, on Talkin the Gridiron this week. For the co-host here, Jimmy Pilato, the legend.
Who
We'll see you next week, everybody. Peace.
Thanks.